So, learning objectives of our today's lecture are define drug and medicine. What is the difference between drug and medicine? Then name different sources of drugs. After the lecture, you people should able to describe different sources of drugs and name various sources of drug information. So, I'm expecting from you people that having 7 lectures of Introduction to Pharmacology by Sir Said Anwar, you people should be able to describe or tell me what is drug or what is a medicine and what is difference between drug and medicine. So here we go. Drugs or medicines, according to WHO, they are defined as drug, any substance or product that is used or intended to be used to modify or explore physiological systems or pathological states for the benefits of the recipient. So, here we are getting the point that they are used not only for therapeutic uses but to explore, to modify the physiological systems and to treat pathological conditions. ठीक है जी? Then medicines are a substance with that changes the biological system by interacting with it. So, a medicine is a substance or a mixture of substances used in restoring or preserving health. What is the difference between drug and medicine? A drug is a single chemical substance that forms the active ingredient of a medicine. ठीक है? We can say that it is a crude form of the medicine. ठीक है? एक पोर्शन है, केमिकल सब्सटेंस है जो बनाता है एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट ऑफ अ मेडिसिन. Medicine is a complete package and drug is a part of medicine. ठीक है जी? And then a medicine may contain many other substances or drugs to deliver the drug in a stable form, acceptable and convenient to the patient. So, medicine is a proper formulated substance where a drug can be crude material substance. Any idea why do we need drug? Why do we use drugs or medicines? Let's see. Simply, we use drugs or medicines to cure these diseases, to suppress the disease, to prevent diseases, to diagnose the disease, and for research purposes. Research होगी तो पता चलेगा ना ये ड्रग इस पर्पस के लिए और इस पर्पस के लिए नहीं है. So, coming towards today's lecture, what are the sources of drugs? We are using one thing, and while looking at a thing or a substance, a question arises in our mind that from where we get these drugs, how they are formulated, how they are made, what is the core source, what is the basic of drugs. Let's see from where we get drugs. Different sources of drugs are naturally occurring, they occur naturally, we use natural products and their active ingredients. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, what are the various sources of drugs? They may be naturally occurring or they are modified natural drugs. They can be mineral sources, microbial sources, human sources, synthetic sources, or they are designed by genetic engineering. What are natural sources of drugs? They are taken from natural things. They must be animals or plants. Well, looking back or having a glimpse of previous history of medicine, it is very much clear the earliest source of drugs were plant sources. People use various parts of plants to cure the diseases or cure whatever the abnormality they were going through. So, Glanicals were the products crude drugs used by Galen, and Galen was a Greek physician and an anatomist. ठीक है जी? वो क्या करता था? He was the one who kept the foundation of using crude materials and drugs. mixing two or single crude material naturally occurring product as a medicine for therapeutic purpose. So the earliest forms of drug made by using drug sources, they are called glanicals. So here are some examples from of plant sources, drugs obtained from plant sources such as morphine. They are opioid analgesic. ठीक है जी, heroin, codeine. They are obtained from opium poppy seeds. Then come nicotine. Nicotine is obtained from tobacco. The active principles of tobacco are there present in nicotine and they are used. Of course, they are present in cigarette and everybody knows that. So other examples, from leaves of Atropa belladonna we obtain atropine. From plant of Ephedra vulgaris we obtain ephedrine. It is used as bronchodilator. Then uh, now in the era of, I must say, in the era of coronavirus, COVID-19, you have seen the use of anti-malarial drug hydrochloroquine as anti-COVID drug. ठीक है जी? It is obtained from bark of cinchona and it is basically it is used as anti-malarial drug quinine. And then rezapine is used as anti-hypertensive drug. It is obtained from the roots of Raufolia serpentina. Again, digoxin, it is a very important cardiac stimulant and it is obtained from the leaves of Digitalis purpura or Digitalis lanenta. Then anthraquinone glycosides are used for laxative to relieve constipation and they are present in senna leaves, cascara, aloe. So these were our plant sources. Now coming towards animal sources, different different hormones are used. Or proteins, basically, I want to say proteins, oils, fats are used as animal sources to produce drugs such as hormones, insulin. Oils and fats are used, such as cod liver oil is used for different conditions. Enzymes are being used. Vaccines are being used. ठीक है जी? These are all actually animal sources. Then comes mineral sources. Natural sources में हमने कितने किए हैं? पहले we discussed about plant sources, then we discussed about animal sources, and now the mineral sources of the drug. Mineral sources are the very first mineral used for therapeutic purposes was mercury, and mercury was used for treating syphilis. Now, a lot of minerals are being used in pharmacology for various diseases such as iron. Anemia is treated by iron, and we very well know iron की कमी क्या है. ठीक है जी? चलो आगे चलते हैं. Aluminium hydroxide is used as an antacid. Iodine is used in various diseases such as antithyroid therapy. And then comes magnesium sulfate is used as purgative, sulfur for scabies, and in peptic ulcer we use various forms of bismuth salts. Now comes the fourth natural source, that is microsources. We very well know antibiotics are made from microbial sources, and one of the commonest very important antibiotic, penicillin, is being produced from penicillium, then streptomycin, neomycin, and some of the enzymes such as streptokinases. ठीक है जी? Then comes the human source. These are all natural sources. Now we are towards semi-synthetic. We use one active part of natural and then keeping the natural shape with slightly altering the chemical base of the product. So, nucleus of drug obtained from the natural source is retained, but the chemical structure is altered. इसका इसका करने का क्या फायदा होता है? We get less adverse effects, prolonged action of duration, and indeed they are complex molecules. For example, amoxicillin and ampicillin is derived from penicillin. So penicillin is naturally occurring, whereas amoxicillin and ampicillin are semi-synthetic drugs. Same as I have shown you a slide previously in which we have talked about morphine. Morphine is our naturally occurring product, whereas heroin is derived. Semi-synthetic, having the basic drug nucleus, but with slight alteration in chemical structure. Very good. Now comes synthetic sources, and we know very well that आजकल का जो ज़्यादा यूज हो रहा है वो है synthetic sources. ठीक है, most of the drugs being used nowadays are synthetic drugs. They are being processed, made in pharmaceutical companies, and then commercially delivered to us. Nucleus of drug from natural sources and chemical structures altered. बेशक source natural हो मगर वो भी altered होता है, उससे मिलता जुलता होता है, synthetic होता है, chemical structure भी different हो जाते हैं. They are more potent, of course free of impurities, produced in laboratories and pharmaceutical industries. For example, antibiotics, पेरिटिक्स जैसे आम हम यूज करते हैं, एंटीहिस्टामिन्स, सल्फोनामाइड एंटीबायोटिक्स, एंटी एंजाइटी, most of the drugs. Last slide you can see genes are involved, genetic engine. So it is a recombination of our genes, genetic code, and we are able to get a drug. So let's see. Recombinant drugs. These are drugs produced by means of recombinant DNA technology. It all starts with a gene that codes for a specific protein. ठीक है, एक फंक्शन है बॉडी का, उसके लिए एक स्पेसिफिक प्रोटीन है, जेनेटिक कोड है, वहां से हम वो कोड लेंगे और अपना काम शुरू करेंगे. So we are taking the code and using it and then reproducing human insulin from that code. So we have read today about natural sources, which were comprised of plants, animals, microbial, and human. Then comes semi-synthetic, in which DNA of the original drug was retained with a slight alteration in chemical structure, and then came synthetic drugs, which were in which not the DNA of original DNA was retained and not even the chemical structure was retained. Both were altered. They were more potent, they were more good for therapeutic purposes, and they were having less impurities. Then come genetic engineering, and we were producing recombinant drugs from genetic engineering. ठीक है जी. So here comes another branch of pharmacology, study of medicines derived from natural sources. And this study comes under the heading of pharmacognosy. ठीक है? If somebody asks in vivo or in test what is pharmacognosy, so you should be knowing that study of medicines derived from natural sources, which we read today. So then comes sources of drug information. ये जितनी भी इंफॉर्मेशन है, कौन सी ड्रग कैसे बनी है, उसके केमिकल स्ट्रक्चर क्या है, उसके एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट्स क्या है, उसके क्रूड मटेरियल क्या है, ये सोर्स क्या है इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए. They are the United States Pharmacopoeia and National Formulary, then physician's test reference, drug facts and comparisons, textbooks, journals, continuing medical education programs, drug company representatives, advertisements, and then come internet. These are various sources from which we get drug information. ठीक है जी? So thank you. It was our today's practical lecture. I hope I'm able to make you understand all of these things. So it's time for assignment. I want you people to write about enumerate various sources of drugs, medicines, and then describe in detail with examples. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.